Welcome to Lesson 10, Problem 3 at Engage Math. We are trying to apply our knowledge of writing the equations of a line to a real-world example. So in this case, the x-coordinate of each of our points is representing the number of weeks since the launch of this YouTube channel. Then y is the number of subscribers after that given number of weeks since the launch. So we can pick any of these points because it is growing at a constant rate. So we know that we can assume that it is a linear function, and we can model this with a lines equation. So I'm going to just pick the first 2 points. It doesn't really matter which 2 I pick, but I'm going to pick 3 as the x, and I'm going to pick 270 has to match with that for the y. And then I'm going to take as our second point 450. But I want you to understand that it would be exactly the same if I had picked 7 630 or 9 810. Because it's a function that is linear, has a constant rate of growth, and we can represent it with a linear equation, doesn't matter which 2 points we pick. So now I'm going to use our knowledge of slope, which has been in previous lessons, so I'm not going to review that, but it's going to be y2, so 450 minus y1, so minus 270 over x2, which is 5, minus 3. So what I'm going to get here now is 180 over 2, which represents my slope. But it's not only my slope, it's also how I'm going to write the equation of a line. My favorite way to do it, it's definitely not the only way, but I like to write it in point slope form first and then convert it. So I'm going to say y, and I could pick either point, by the way. I'm going to pick this point, 270. Doesn't make a bit of difference which point I pick. I'm going to get the same line either way. So, and this, by the way, is explained in previous lessons. So feel free to kind of look back at a couple other things if you're not sure why this is true. But our equation is going to be y minus 270 equals, we know 180 over 2 reduces to 90. So that's our slope. So it's 90 times x minus 3. All right, I'm going to now change it to slope-intercept form, and I'm going to do that by simply taking a couple steps at once here. I'm distributing that 90, so I get 90x minus 270, but then I have to add this 270 to both sides. So when I add that 270 to the other side, I'm going to get a plus 270, because I want that to go to the other side, which makes it a plus. And then these cancel, and my equation is simply y equals 90x. And you can see that that's true. If you put in any of these x values, 3, 5, 7, 9, you're going to get each of these y values out when you put that into this equation. Okay, so now it says, after how many weeks will Lena's channel reach 2,070 subscribers? So that means our y value is 2,070. So 2,070 goes in for the y, and we're solving for x, the number of weeks since the launch. And so when you divide both sides by 90, and I think you can do this without a calculator, but feel free to use a calculator if you feel like you really need to, but I'm going to challenge you to not use it on this. The 90s cancel, and one thing you can do is you can basically say, okay, the zeros can cancel because you're basically dividing the numerator and the denominator by 10. And then it's really 9 goes into 207, kind of a little bit of thinking back to some of your long division from a while ago, but 9 goes into 20 twice, and then there's 2 left over, and then it's 9 goes into 27, just like that, 3 times. So with a little bit of work, you can get that x is equal to 23, meaning after 23 weeks, we have 2,070 subscribers. Okay, great job. Thanks for joining us at Engage Math.